Hello friends, in this session I am going to take up for discussion an important topic of Parliament, that is parliamentary privileges. First and the foremost, you need to understand the meaning and concept of parliamentary privileges, and thereafter we will have discussion about what type of parliamentary privileges are available to Parliament as an institution and the members of two houses of Parliament. We will also discuss the difference between breach of parliamentary privilege and contempt of Parliament, and thereafter we will do some analytical discussion about parliamentary privilege. But in the overall scheme of our polity constitution syllabus, this is an important topic for discussion. First, you need to understand that why the constitution prescribes the parliamentary privileges. India is the largest democracy of the world. In India, we have parliamentary form of government, and to ensure independence in its action and dignity in its position, as far as two houses of Parliament are concerned, there is a need for some special rights, some special immunities and some special exceptions which should be enjoyed by the members of two houses of Parliament and parliamentary committees. That is what exactly fall within the ambit of parliamentary privileges. So I would just like you all to remember that as far as this word parliamentary privileges is concerned, basically if we see the meaning, within the ambit of meaning is a special rights, immunities, exceptions enjoyed by members of either house of Parliament, as well as parliamentary committees, Okay. So this is what? Special rights, special immunities and some special exceptions which are enjoyed by the members of two houses of Parliament and the members of parliamentary committee, so that there is independence of action, and dignity in its position, and through all these we can establish the supremacy of Parliament for its role. And what role Parliament has? Legislative role. What role Parliament has? Exercising a control over executive. Okay. So this is what falls within the ambit of parliamentary privileges. So certain special rights we have given, certain special immunities we have given to the two houses of Parliament and parliamentary committee, certain exceptions we have created for Parliament and Parliament members, so that there is dignity in its position, independence in its action, and overall supremacy is of Parliament over the function which it has to perform. And these special rights, immunities and certain exceptions which are enjoyed by the either house of Parliament, these fall within the ambit of parliamentary privileges. Two things from prelims point of view. The very concept of parliamentary privileges we have taken from British, we have taken from British Constitution. And within Indian Constitution, the mention of parliamentary privileges is within Article 105. Okay, so the mention of parliamentary privileges is in which article of Indian Constitution? Article 105 of Indian Constitution. And if we examine the provisions of Article 105, basically two types of privileges finds mention. One is freedom of speech in parliament and the other is right of publication of its proceeding. But only these two are not what falls within the ambit of parliamentary privileges. There are many other things which falls within the ambit of parliamentary privileges, but only thing which I would like you all to remember that we have taken this concept getting inspired from the British Constitution, and in Indian Constitution it's Article 105 where there is a specific mention of parliamentary privileges, and two types of parliamentary privileges finds explicit mention in Article 105. One relates with freedom of speech in parliament and the other is right of publication of proceedings. But an integrated analysis about parliamentary privileges in India as per the provisions of Article 105 and the traditions which are there in parliamentary form of government or parliamentary democracy, we can definitely reach to this conclusion that privileges of parliament broadly can be divided into two groups. Those which are enjoyed individually by the members, and those which are enjoyed collectively by the House. Okay, so privilege of parliament broadly can be classified and based on what finds mention in Article 105 and the traditions which we see being followed in any other country with parliamentary form of government. All parliamentary privileges can be classified under two heads. One is those which are enjoyed individually by the members of two houses of parliament, and the second enjoyed collectively by two houses of parliament. And one by one we will see what is enjoyed by individually by the members of the two houses of parliament, and second what all are enjoyed collectively by the two houses of parliament. When it comes to individual, one very important is freedom of speech. Okay, individual capacity. Now listen very carefully and try to understand this important concept. See, under Article 19(1)(a), every Indian citizen has been given the fundamental freedom of speech and expression. But the ambit or the scope of freedom of speech enjoyed by the members of two houses of parliament is much wider in comparison with citizens. You know why? Because all the 6 freedoms which are given in Article 19(1)(a) are fundamental freedom, but they are not absolute. There can be reasonable restriction on freedom of speech and expression as well. But when it comes to members of parliament, they have very wide amplitude as far as freedom of speech is concerned. Why? Because they cannot be dragged to the court of law for anything which they say inside the parliament during the proceedings of the house. And if they are authorized by the parliament, and then if they speak anything, for that they cannot be dragged in the court of law. So I would like you all to remember this, that freedom of speech which is available to citizens is also available to the members of parliament, but under the ambit of parliamentary privileges, the amplitude of the freedom of speech enjoyed by the members of parliament is much wider in comparison to what it is enjoyed by citizens under Article 19(1)(a). And why I am saying that it's having very wider amplitude? Because whatever they say inside the parliament, they can be punished by the parliament in its internal proceeding, but they cannot be dragged to the court of law at all for whatever they say during the proceedings inside the parliament, and if authorized by the house, then even outside parliament. So this is one parliamentary privilege, and this we have given so that there is vibrancy in our parliamentary democracy. They are the elected representatives of people, so they should not be hesitant while speaking during the proceedings in the two houses of parliament. They should speak the way they feel, and they should raise any issue. So freedom of speech is one which is enjoyed by the members of parliament in individual capacity. Another parliamentary privilege is, freedom from arrest. Freedom from arrest. And I would just like you all to remember that under section 135A of CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code in India, right? Criminal Procedure Code in India, member of parliament, right? Member of parliament are exempted from arrest. Exempted from arrest during session of house. So when the house is in session, they cannot be, arrested, plus 40 days and even minus 40 days. Now this is interesting, okay? This is interesting. So before the commencement of the session of the house, 40 days, since 40 days before and till completion of session 40 days later, in this period, member of parliament, they are exempted from arrest under section 1, right? Section 135A of CPC, Civil Procedure Code, right? They are exempted from arrest from CPC, not criminal, Civil Procedure Code. Okay, meaning that this immunity is with them in civil cases, not in criminal cases. So they cannot be arrested 40 days before the session, and after the completion of session up till 40 days they cannot, because, right, we have done this because they should prepare well to participate in the session, and they should go to the constituency, they should go to the area which they represent, and should work for proper implementation of what communication to people, what has been decided during the proceedings of the two houses of parliament. So second important thing you should remember is freedom from arrest, but this immunity is available not in criminal cases but in civil cases, and under section 135A of CPC, during the session, 40 days before session, 40 days after session, in this period, member of parliament are exempted from arrest in civil cases. Even in criminal cases, when the House is in session, they cannot be arrested when they are participating in the session without the permission from the presiding officer of the House. Okay, so that is the only immunity in criminal cases, but in civil cases they are completely exempted from arrest during session as well as 40 days before and 40 days after the session. So this is again one of the parliamentary privilege in individual capacity. The third is, right, the third is, and again this is an interesting, right, this is an interesting freedom, freedom from, third, freedom from jury, from the jury service, jury service. Now why there is a freedom from jury service? What is the meaning of jury service? They cannot be compelled by any court to appear in the court as a witness, even in the cases where they are witness. Okay, so when the House is in session, right, when the House is in session, they cannot be compelled by court to appear in the House as witness. Exempted freedom from jury service means what? They cannot be compelled. They cannot be compelled to appear as witness, to appear as witness in court, in court, when House of Parliament is in session. So when the House of Parliament is in session, they cannot be compelled to appear in the court as witness. And if we do an analysis of this parliamentary privilege in individual capacity, we can only conclude that founding fathers of Indian Constitution has given importance to the proceedings of Parliament nowhere less than the proceedings in the court. So they said, since they are member, if the House is in session, during that period, no court in this country can compel them to appear before the court as a witness. So court will have to wait for them to appear in the court as witness for the session to be over. So these are the three very important parliamentary privileges enjoyed by members of parliament in individual capacity. Now when it comes to collective, then, you know, in collective form, right to publish reports, debates, proceedings, right, proceedings. Okay, this is one very important privilege which they enjoy, right. Another is right to regulate internal affairs, right to regulate internal affairs. Third is right to exclude strangers, right to exclude strangers, and the fourth, which is the most important, right, which is the most important, a right to punish, members as well as outsiders for both breach of parliamentary privilege, breach of parliamentary privileges, breach of parliamentary privileges and contempt of parliament. Contempt of parliament. So both. So what in collective capacity privileges are given? Number one, it is up to the two houses of parliament to decide collectively that what reports they will allow to be published, what proceedings of the house they would allow to be published, what they don't want to enter in public domain. So they have been given the collective privilege to decide on such matters. Not only that, whom to be included, when they will allow media people in media gallery during the proceeding, and when they can say that there will be no viewer, there will be no media, they want to do right completely in presence of only the members of the house. This is also what is the right with the house, two houses of parliament. So very important, right to exclude strangers. This is a collective privilege which the parliament, two houses of parliament enjoy. And fourth is that they will decide on their own. Right? They will decide on their own that if somebody is guilty of breach of parliamentary privilege and if somebody is guilty of contempt of parliament, what punishment to be prescribed, what punishment is to be given. And I would just like you all to have this awareness, right, to have this awareness that these privileges which we have given is with one motive, and that is that there should be independence in their action, there should be dignity in their position, and through these two, what can be achieved? Supremacy of parliament as far as its role is concerned. So certain privileges are enjoyed by the parliament, members of parliament in individual capacity, certain privileges are enjoyed collectively, and together the motive is that there must be supremacy of parliament for its role. Now there are some issues which you need to understand. Now what should be there? That since collectively the parliament has been given the privilege to regulate its internal affair and to decide on the punishment who is guilty for contempt of parliament and who is guilty, right, who is guilty for breach of parliamentary privilege. Now one thing which I would just like you all to remember, many people they don't know the difference between contempt of, breach of privilege and contempt of parliament. Breach of privileges and second is contempt of parliament. Breach of privilege and contempt of parliament. See, breach of privilege is basically disrespect or disregard, right, disregard to the rights, immunities or exceptions falling within privileges, right, falling within the concept of privileges. So anybody will disrespect, anybody will disregard, anybody will, compromise, ignore that they have certain privileges, that will fall within the ambit of breach of privilege. So if they are not to be arrested in civil cases 40 days before the session and 40 days after the session, and if any authority will arrest a member of parliament in a civil case, that will amount to breach of parliamentary privilege. Okay, if they have freedom of speech which is in wider, amplitude, and if anybody will try to drag them in the court of law for what they said inside parliament, that will be the breach of parliamentary privilege. Okay, and like that other things which are there. So breach of parliamentary privilege means what? disrespect and disregard to the rights, immunities and exception. Now when it comes to contempt of parliament, I would just like you that what falls? Any action of an individual or an organization which has negative repercussions on dignity or honor of parliament, that will fall within the concept of contempt of parliament. So I can say that contempt of parliament is wider in its connotation than breach of parliamentary privilege. Now let us say that when the parliament is in session and somebody who is not permitted, if will forcefully enter in the house, now that will amount to what? Contempt of parliament. That will amount to what? Contempt of parliament. So like that you need to remember, any action of its own member or any outsider which has negative repercussions on dignity and honor of parliament. If somebody is speaking and scandalizing parliament as an institution, that will fall within the concept of contempt of parliament. But what I would like you all to remember, that what is the main issue related with privileges, parliamentary privileges or breach of parliamentary privilege or contempt of parliamentary privilege, that the law is not codified. Law is not codified. Parliament has not passed a law, right, to codify. And this is the reason why the party which has overwhelming majority in the two houses have a overwhelming say in the matters of breach of parliamentary privilege and contempt of parliament. Some of the constitutional experts have gone to this extent that, see, when it comes to punishing someone for contempt of parliament who is outsider, the parliament should use this provision in rarest of rare case, because in the whole process, if you see, victim is parliament, judge is parliament, and prosecutor is parliament. So prosecution is also done by parliament, judgment is also passed by parliament, and victim is also the parliament. So therefore, since such kind of scenario is there, so what is expected from parliament as an institution? That the institution should accept that India is the largest democracy of the world, vibrant democracy of the world. In a democratic country, such kind of provision should not be abused for silencing people who are critical of functioning of the institution. But in real and practical term, if respect of institution is getting adversely impacted, dignity is getting compromised, then only such proceedings should be initiated. So biggest challenge we are facing in matters related with breach of parliamentary privileges and contempt of parliament proceedings, that the law is not codified. So at a particular given point of time, based on the majority view of the house, the matter is to be decided. So the party with overwhelming numbers in the house has overwhelming say in the matters of proceeding. This has attracted criticism from political scientists and constitutional experts in the process of contempt of parliamentary proceeding and breach of parliamentary privileges. However, I would just like you to remember that in both the House of Parliament, we have a separate privilege committee. In each house, we have a privilege committee, Privilege Committee. And the Privilege Committee in the Lok Sabha consists of 15 members. The Privilege Committee in the Rajya Sabha consists of 10 members. 10 members. And this Privilege Committee of Rajya Sabha is headed by Deputy Chairman of the House. Deputy Chairman of House. And all parties are given representation in the Privilege Committee based on their representation in the House to an extent possible and feasible. So if 50% seats in Lok Sabha is of a particular party, then 50% membership in Privilege Committee will be from that particular party. So political parties are given representation in the Privilege Committee based on their representation in the House. This is what you should remember. And this Privilege Committee functions under the overall supervision, guidance, control, command of the presiding officer of the House. So Privilege Committee of Lok Sabha under the Speaker of Lok Sabha, and Privilege Committee of Rajya Sabha under the Chairman of Rajya Sabha. And matters related to breach of parliamentary privilege or breach of contempt of parliament is referred to this committee. This committee will inquire and reach to the conclusion and will give recommendation to the House, based on which the House will decide upon the matter, that whether it falls, right, whether it falls within the ambit, right, whether it falls within the ambit of parliamentary, right, parliamentary privilege or not. And one thing which I would just like you all to remember, that in the name of contempt of parliament or breach of parliamentary privilege, the two houses of parliament has the freedom, right, to give punishment, and that punishment can be in the form of, censure, in the form of, criticism, or in the form of warning, in the form of imprisonment also. Okay, so they can warn a member and they can even, order for imprisonment. How many days? That will depend on what kind of breach of parliamentary privilege, what extent and nature of contempt of parliament was done by the accused who has been found guilty during the, inquiry conducted by the Privilege Committee of the two houses of parliament. But one thing you should remember, there is no codified law, and this is what is complicating the matter. And we need to understand that if we see the manner in which breach of parliamentary proceedings and contempt of parliament proceedings will take place, very correctly some of the constitutional experts, legal luminaries and political scientists have concluded that in rarest of rare such proceedings should be initiated, because what we need to understand, that in such cases parliament is the judge, parliament is the victim, and parliament is the prosecutor. And this is happening in a country which claims before the world to be the largest and one of the most successful democracy in the world. So this is all about parliamentary privileges.